Imagine a man who gave everything for his country, only to be humiliated in front of strangers in a courtroom. A single father, exhausted yet unbroken, standing before a powerful female judge who sneers at his appearance, mocking him as if he were nothing. But what she doesn't know, what no one in that courtroom knows, is that this man was once one of the brightest legal minds in the nation, a genius attorney who had walked away from a life of prestige to raise his daughter alone. What happens when the truth is revealed? Stay with me till the end, because this story will leave you stunned, inspired, and maybe even in tears. The morning sun filtered weakly through the courthouse windows as David Miller adjusted the second-hand tie around his neck. His shoes were scuffed, his suit outdated, but his eyes carried the weight of battles fought far from any courtroom, both on the battlefield as a soldier, and at home as a single father struggling to give his daughter a better life. David's opponent was not an enemy soldier this time, but a wealthy landlord trying to evict him and his 8-year-old daughter, Lily. For weeks, David had been juggling 2 jobs, keeping meals on the table, and still finding time to help Lily with her homework. But one missed rent payment had pushed him into this courtroom. He had no lawyer. He couldn't afford one. He stood alone. When his case was called, Judge Rebecca Collins, known for her sharp tongue and lack of patience, glanced over her glasses and smirked. "Mr. Miller," she said coldly, "you appear before this court without legal representation. That's rather unwise. But I suppose someone like you wouldn't know better." The courtroom chuckled. David's ears burned. He clenched his fists, swallowing the sting of humiliation. Rebecca wasn't done. "You're a veteran, aren't you? Yet here you are, fumbling with paperwork like a child. It almost seems irresponsible, raising a daughter when you can't even manage your own affairs." The words sliced deeper than she realized. David's heart pounded, but he stayed calm. His military training had taught him discipline. Yet inside, he could see Lily's face in his mind, the little girl waiting at home, unaware her father was being belittled. The landlord's expensive lawyer smirked, filing through stacks of documents, confident this case would be an easy victory. But then something happened. David asked to approach the bench. His voice steady, he requested, "Your Honor, may I represent myself properly? I have some knowledge of the law." Rebecca raised an eyebrow, almost laughing. "Knowledge of the law? Mr. Miller, this isn't a TV drama. Knowing a few legal terms doesn't make you a lawyer." The room chuckled again. David lowered his gaze, but in that moment, something shifted inside him. He hadn't wanted to reveal his past. He had buried that life long ago. But now, for his daughter's future, he had no choice. "Your Honor," David said quietly, but firmly, with respect. The atmosphere shifted instantly. What was once mockery became a stunned silence. The men she had ridiculed as unwise now spoke with precision, his words sharp as a blade honed by years of experience. David pulled out a worn leather folder, something he had not touched in years. Inside were meticulously organized notes, legal precedents, statutes, case rulings he had reviewed late at night after working double shifts. "Your Honor," he began, voice steady, "the landlord claims eviction on grounds of late rent. But per Section 92 of the Tenant Protection Act, he is obligated to provide a 30-day grace period. That notice was never served. Furthermore, under case law precedent, Anderson v. Fairview Housing, 2009, such an eviction attempt is unlawful without proper documentation." The landlord's attorney stuttered, flipping through his papers. He hadn't expected resistance, much less from a man he assumed was uneducated. The judge's eyes narrowed, not in mockery this time, but in respect. "Proceed, Mr. Miller." With each argument, David dismantled the opposing counsel's case. His words flowed like a symphony, controlled, deliberate, undeniable. It wasn't just law, it was justice speaking through him. The courtroom leaned in, captivated. By the end, the landlord's lawyer was sweating, fumbling with objections that held no ground. And Judge Collins, the same woman who had mocked David at the start, now looked at him with something almost like shame. When David concluded his defense, silence filled the room. Judge Collins cleared her throat. "This court finds the eviction notice unlawful. Case dismissed." Gasps filled the courtroom. David stood tall, not for himself, but for Lily. He had won, not with fists, but with his mind, his preparation, and his unwavering will as a father. The judge leaned forward, her voice softer. Mr. Miller. I owe you an apology. I misjudged you. You are not just a veteran or a single father, you are a remarkable man. This court respects your service and your brilliance. David nodded humbly. I don't need your respect, Your Honor. I only need my daughter to have a home. And with that, he walked out, shoulders straight, carrying not just the weight of his struggles, but the quiet pride of a man who had proven himself once again. Sometimes the strongest warriors are not those in uniforms, nor those sitting in power, but the quiet single parents fighting battles nobody sees. David Miller's story reminds us, never judge someone by appearances. Because behind every scar, every tired face, there might be a hidden genius, a forgotten hero, or a father who would do anything to protect his child.